Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third session of Star Trek I-13. We are a tabletop role-playing group that uses the Star Trek Adventures rule set by Modiphius Entertainment. Specifically, we are set on a Nova class variant in the year 2374 during the Dominion War. Our first two sessions are on YouTube if you want to play catch-up. Otherwise, I don't really have much in the way of announcements, so we're just going to go ahead and run the intro and get into things. All right, and welcome back. Now, normally I would have a captain's log or another sort of opening log mark the start of the session, but I thought I'd take this one just so there's sort of a living world flavor to the narration. So, it's been a few weeks since the I-13 had to retreat from the skirmish surrounding the Ferengi convoy. You have journeyed to Starbase 375 for repairs. Situated to the galactic northwest of the Badlands, Starbase 375 has become a major standing grounds or staging grounds for wartime operations. There's all manners of ships here around the starbase, ranging from top of the line Akiras to, older Mirandas and Excelsiors. The I-13 herself is currently docked within the starbase proper as repairs are being effected. This essentially means that the crew of the I-13 has a bit of shore leave on their hands. Thus, we are going to start the session in Starbase 375's main bar and club, known as Dreams of Ryza. Now, most of the senior staff are currently gathered at one table or another, and you're just looking around, and outside of the window, you have a view of the Aquamarine R'hllor Nebula. You're also noticing that the establishment is packed with all manner of Starfleet personnel. So first, by request, I believe Lieutenant Commander Idru and Commander Soval wanted to have a conversation, so why don't we start there?
I think we start off with Idru sitting at a table by himself. He's reading a pad and he's got a drink of something green. He's just absorbed in whatever he's reading.
Okay. Soval would approach him, and if Commander Idru looks up, he'll see that Soval looks about as uncharacteristically distraught as a Vulcan possibly could. There's nothing quite distinct about it. You can't really see emotions on his face, but there's, if you pay close attention, something clearly wrong. He approaches the table, gestures towards the available seat, and says, Commander Idru, might you have a moment to speak?
And Idru looks up at Saval and he motions to the seat. Of course, Mr. Saval, have a seat. Would you care for a drink?
Water, please.
Imagine there's a replicator at the table and Idru hits the buttons and you have water somehow.
That works.
Thank you, Doctor. May I ask how you were doing?
Well, doing well. I can say the only injury I sustained from the situation on the Ferengi vessel was just an injury to my pride.
No lingering physiological effects from the phaser blast?
No, I'm happy to report.
Mm. You will forgive me, Doctor. Small talk is not one of the skills with which Vulcans are generally graced.
Indeed, I can tell there's something on your mind.
Mm. Several things, actually, Doctor. He raises a hand to the extensive scar work that lines his brow and traces over his right ear. Thumbs it for a moment, and then speaks again. Doctor, first, I'd like to speak to you regarding your comportment on the most recent mission.
Okay.
I believe that you disobeyed a direct order from me during essentially a combat operation. You jeopardized the lives of the entire away mission because of your commitment to the life of an enemy prisoner. Am I incorrect in that assessment?
Apart from perhaps putting the mission in jeopardy, but please go on.
Doctor, are you more committed to the principles of your profession than you are to Starfleet? I know from your record that seems to be the case, but I would like you to confirm it.
I would absolutely say my duties as a doctor take precedence over any duties I would have as a Starfleet officer. Absolutely.
And would that include your commitment to doctor-patient confidentiality?
Absolutely. There is no force on this galaxy that could have me violate that trust.
Then, Doctor, I would like to meet with you either on the station sickbay or preferably on the I-13's medical bay at your convenience. I believe
Of
that we
course.
have another matter to discuss.
Is there an emergency or anything I should be aware of?
Not as of yet, Doctor. However, may I ask you, what is your assessment of my performance in my duties?
As a Starfleet officer, I'm not very equipped to judge you. I would say as a tactical officer, you perform your duties very well.
You see, Doctor, I would disagree. Recently, I have failed far too often. I was unable to identify the trap set for us by the Cardassians and the simulated Ferengi. It was my actions in engineering that led to the near destruction of the ship when I triggered the detonation of the gravitic mine. The captain may not hold me responsible for this, but I am. And I believe that these are symptoms of a deeper underlying problem that I'd like to address with you.
Mr. Saval, if I may ask you, have you ever met anyone who is perfect in your life?
It would be illogical to assume that anyone could achieve a state of perfection, Doctor.
That is actually my point entirely. If you've never met anyone that is perfect and flawless, then how could you ever expect yourself to be?
Doctor, while I appreciate your attempt to spare my feelings, I have no feelings to be spared. Likewise, I have assessed this situation with supreme logic, and I am well aware of certain underlying issues that you might not be privy to, which is why I have come to you and suggested that we examine this issue more thoroughly in a sick bay.
Of course, I'd be happy to provide you with any diagnostic you feel that is warranted based on of whatever condition you're referring to.
Hmm.
And of course, in a more private setting, I know this is, and I gesture out to the room. I know this is certainly a crowded area, and the walls have eyes in some cases.
I assume that was meant to be a joke regarding the nature of the changeling infiltrators, but you should rest assured, Doctor, they do not need eyes to see.
Well, let's just say I don't exactly trust Starfleet. I know in many cases, well, we're under a little bit more observation than I'd care to be.
Hmm. Not an unwise precaution, Doctor. Perhaps then we should continue this conversation at a later time within the I-13 sickbay.
Okay, it would be my pleasure.
Thank you, Doctor. May I ask before I depart, is there anything that you'd like to discuss, given that we seem to have some disagreements with respect to our conduct during this conflict?
Yes, Mr. Sval, just something I did want to bring up. I can remember before we captured the Vorta, you mentioned something about eradicating all of the Jem'Hadar in the Alpha Quadrant. Do you remember that statement?
Of course, Doctor.
It brought to mind something. Do you follow the Vulcan artist Tolvar?
I am unfamiliar with this individual's work. Art has never been a particular interest of mine, Doctor.
Well, perhaps if I describe it to you, it might illuminate a little bit about my feelings. So Tolvar is a very minor sculptor in Vulcan society. Not too surprised if you would have seen his work and then walked past it. One of his most famous works is a large fixture called the sphere. And then, if you ever saw it, it would look unremarkable, like a large obsidian sphere, and you could pay it no mind at all. But if you were to look closer at the sphere, you would actually see that it is made of millions, perhaps billions of facets that Tolvar himself crafted over perhaps hundreds of years by hand with a chisel. And where I'm going with this is each of those facets, although some of them may look closer to the other, are all completely unique. Different textures, different sizes. No facet is the same. And if you were to destroy one of those facets, it would mar the entire surface. That follows the Vulcan philosophy of infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations, indeed. And I am reminded of the words of Dr. McCoy when he spoke to Captain Kirk in the first visual encounter with the offshoot of my own race, the Romulans. I believe he told Captain Kirk that there's a probability of there being 500 million Earth-type planets in this galaxy, and in the universe, another 500 million galaxies just like this one. And in all of that, and in possibly more, only one of each of us.
And we do know for a fact that there are multiple universes, mirror universes, parallel dimensions. But in all of those, we may encounter another one that looks like you, but there is only one Soval in all of those as you are now. All I'm saying, Commander, is don't be so quick to destroy one of those unique facets because it can never be recovered once it's destroyed.
There is logic to what you say, Doctor. However, one should remember that the Jem'Hadar are not necessarily individuals. They are cloned from genetic templates. Or do
An
they have
argument that has used as an argument that has been used as an excuse for countless atrocities throughout history. All creatures that are sentient have rights.
But, Doctor, not all creatures that are sapient have the same worth.
Nidru kind of leans back. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. You are correct. Although that is something that I hope to change, or at least live long enough to see changed.
If I may, Doctor, I will leave you with this. I believe that in order for the Federation to survive this war, it will need men like me. But if the Federation is to survive after the war is finished, should we win, it will need men like you to survive.
Well, Commander, I'm going to do my best to make sure that we both make it through.
I can respect that, Doctor, but let me ask you this. Did you put your life in jeopardy when you had to address the plague on, I believe it was Gorvani 8, 7?
My life was in danger at several points. That's true.
And you put your life on the line, as it were, in order to what?
Well, we were ordered by Starfleet captain, in fact, to evacuate the planet. He felt the plague that had taken over the world was too much, and he wanted to reduce any possibility of the plague jumping to other species. In essence, he was ready to give up on a population of approximately 5 billion, and I was unwilling to do that, so I decided to stay behind. I used an illegal technique, a modified eugenics to alter the DNA of the people of Gorvani 7 to overcome the plague.
And in so doing, you jeopardized your own life and eventually were confined to a Federation penal colony because of your actions.
That is true, where I was confined until the Dominion War, apparently. I hate to call it an opportune moment, but Starfleet decided it needed doctors out in space more than it needed doctors in a jail.
Doctor, with respect to my own profession, I take the same approach. If I have to die in order to defend the lives of my shipmates or to defend the Federation, I will. And I think that based on your own experiences, you understand that position. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. If you are familiar with the Vulcan precept of infinite diversity in infinite combinations, surely you must be familiar with that as well.
I am, and in fact, my father worked for Starfleet, and we spent many nights having conversations about the Prime Directive over dinner. And if I can tell you honestly, I hated them. Because my father would always talk about conjecture and possibilities. The Prime Directive is full of them. Choosing not to act by the possibility that something bad may happen and allowing terrible things to happen immediately, just on the possibility. I hate conjecture. What I see in front of me, if someone needs help, I will help them.
To be blunt,
if it gets
Doctor,
me killed, if it gets me killed, it gets me killed.
I cannot agree with that assessment, Doctor, in the sense that violation of the Prime Directive and Starfleet protocols may not always be called for. I think we would have different determinations of appropriate cases in which those regulations must be violated. However, I don't disagree that at times we must go beyond the limitations of those protocols.
It is my belief that if we have the power to help someone and we don't help them, we are just as guilty as whatever calamity has befallen them.
Well, Doctor, I don't believe that we are necessarily going to come to an agreement on this matter. Nonetheless, I appreciate your willingness to speak with me and your offer of further assistance in the medical bay when you have a free moment. You have given me something to consider, nonetheless, and I hope the same is true of you.
Absolutely. Mr. Saval, and as always, it's a pleasure.
I cannot necessarily say the same thing, Doctor, given that that would imply some form of emotional response on my part, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You as well. I'll see you in the I-13.
Doctor. And Saval will rise. He will seem slightly more at ease, insofar as you can tell, and he will depart the bar, having not touched the water that was before him at all.
All right. So you don't depart the bar quite yet. There is something that will happen. But before we get to that, while that conversation's going on, Shran and Talek, you're at a different table having a different conversation.
Well, Commander, have you heard of an illness from Earth called the flu?
I have in passing, yes. Is there anything in particular about it that's on your mind?
Well, I grew up among humans, and this isn't my first rodeo, as they say. And you can see around Captain Tron, he has made himself around this window, looking out at the nebula. He has a thing of tissues and a stack of data pads to go through, and he's just, well, Commander, it appears the moment we have time off is the time I get sick.
That is certainly unfortunate, Captain. Have you talked to the doctor about this yet?
Oh, I've been into sick bay. It's not much you can do. It's not dangerous. I'm just I'm just miserable. That's all.
Am I safe to be here, or should I be prudent and wash my hands after our encounter?
I'm I'm not sure I've heard of Vulcans getting the flu,
Well, there's a first
but
time for anything.
I guess just stay clear of this pile of tissues I've collected.
We could probably request some sort of receptacle for them. Maybe a very small tabletop garbage can.
Oh, it's
And
fine. I don't want to
Tadek's
bother
gonna
anyone.
start looking through the replicator, see if maybe there is an empty cup option, and just size that up.
Yeah, you could easily make a
Like movie
glorified trash
theater
can.
large size.
Yeah, you could do it easily enough.
I think this might be helpful.
Well, thank you, Commander. I appreciate it. And you see Sean grab a tissue and blow his nose again. And when he blows his nose, his antennae kind of twitch.
Is the sound like very soft, or is it like dad blowing your nose?
Oh, it would definitely be a dad. More like the loud, like it fills as much of the space as it can.
I imagine probably a couple people around us end up looking over.
Yeah, well, if you look over, maybe one or two actually decide to just get up and maybe move away from the sick Andorian.
I don't mind that actually. I kind of like the silence. Our
Well, I
ship
guess
is
it's good
it's
that we
so
have a couple of
small.
days off for you to recover.
It's nice to be in a room that's large enough for me to actually stretch my arms out.
I agree. We've been cooped up for a little bit too long. Even though there's only a couple of us on that ship, it still seems much smaller on the inside than it looks on the outside.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
And in a very strange twist of fate, I was laughing on the side here because it's very ironic. As Saval, as you're getting up from the table to leave, this is the point in their conversation where Talek has just said, "Oh, we've been cooped up for too long." When the starbase goes to yellow alert, and immediately across all of the entrances to the bar, a force field appears, and immediately Captain Shran, you get a chirp on your communicator.
Strawn taps his chest and
This is
says,
an automated message from the Starbase 375 computer core. We are experiencing a biohazard throughout the station. For your own safety, we have sealed you in place. Please remain where you are until help arrives." And Shran, as you're hearing this, um, you're able to see kind of down at the. So you're on the second level. If you look down to the first level of the bar, you see that the higher ranked individuals, such as Captain Jefferson, not Jefferson, Jefferson, Captain Savay, and a few lieutenant commanders, they all are showing the same sort of indication that they're getting the message as well. But the lower ranking ensigns, the enlisted staff, they're looking around very nervously. There's a bit of a crowd around some of the doors. They're looking for direction.
it. We can't get a break, can we, Commander? You know, I would have given an arm and a leg to have a chance to go and fly into the Badlands and just explore.
Mm-hmm.
And the one time I get to go, it's a war. Well, if
Wars
no
end
one hears,
eventually.
if if you don't mind, I'm gonna head downstairs and see what's going on. Feel free to join me.
Will do.
And Saval
And
and
Tron,
Idru, you do notice the captain getting up from his table.
I would follow, yeah.
Likewise.
There's not a lot of urgency in Sharon's movements, and you almost get the sense that he has kind of like the flu is giving him aches and pains throughout his body, and he picks up his thing of Federation issue tissues. They have the little Starfleet insignia on the side,
Their
and he
specialty.
walks.
You would
He
think they
walks
would have
down.
gone past that into like back to handkerchiefs, a little bit more environmentally friendly, but I guess that doesn't matter with replicators.
Yeah, they just turn back into energy when you throw them in the garbage. Yeah, so Sharon heads downstairs and approaches the other captains and Captain.
Yeah, and as everyone gathers downstairs, let's talk a little bit about the captains and commanding officers that are here. So we'll start with Captain Seve. Captain Seve is an interesting woman by the fact that I mean she is half Orion and half Vulcan. Not a combination you hear about very often. As such, she has light green skin. It's not as pronounced as a true blood Orion, but she also has a very stern expression on her face at all times, and she has cropped, almost a dark blue color hair. The next captain to address is Captain Jefferson. Captain Jefferson is appears to be a human male. He's maybe about 40, maybe 50, hard to tell. He is African American, and he has a pretty cool goatee going on. What's interesting about him is the fact that he actually has on a pair of glasses, meaning that he has chosen not to undergo any sort of, say, futuristic LASIK to correct his vision. The other individual of note, at least in this gathering, is Lieutenant Commander Vare. Lieutenant Commander Vare is a white-haired Vulcan woman. She has startlingly yellow eyes, and it doesn't take you very long to realize that those eyes are artificial. But as you all approach, Captain Seve sort of turns to you, Captain Shran, and says, "So you got the same message we did, I'm guessing."
And after blowing his nose again and taking a second, yeah, some sort of biological issue. You wouldn't, both of you wouldn't have any idea what's going on, would you?
The two captains share a look, and Seve continues on to say, "No, we're just in the dark as you are. However, I half wonder if you are not the contaminant that the computer is freaking out about."
Captain, don't worry. I just have the flu. Yeah, Doctor.
Idri steps up. Captain, I wouldn't worry unless you're Andorian. There's nothing to worry about. It sounds much worse than it is.
Captains, forgive me for intruding on your conversation, but I notice that a number of the enlisted officers here appear to be somewhat distraught. Perhaps they would be comforted by a speech of some kind, at least some reassurance from a flag officer.
And Jefferson and Seve sort of look at one another, then they look at Shran, and Jefferson says, "I guess technically that would mean me, since I am the commander or the captain of the largest vessel here. However, if one of you would prefer to take it, by all means."
Sean shrugs his shoulders and says, well, I think I'm the senior officer in terms of age, so you know what? I don't think this is a big deal. I'll take control.
Okay.
If you don't mind, Captain."
And Seve just sort of motions and just go right ahead. And what we
Excellent.
don't see at this angle, if you will sort of imagine sort of to the lower right, so probably should have described this at the beginning, but the bar itself, Dreams of Ryza, is a very large bar. It's got 2 floors. It has something on the neighborhood of about 25 to 30 tables at the bottom level, and then another 20 or so booths up top. And the one wall we can't see currently on stream is that there is a large sort of stage area 1 second. Apparently they're doing night ops tonight, which I apologize for, but only so much I can do. Anyway, so there is a sort of a raised sort of stage, and above it is a very large display. And currently it is just sort of showing a yellow alert symbol with a medical, I forget what it's called, the Caduceus staff maybe? The one with the intertwined snakes? I think. Sounds right. Let's
I
go with
don't know.
that.
I don't know what it's
Yeah, that
called, but
sounds right.
I know
The
exactly what you're
staff of
saying. Yeah.
Asclepius,
Yeah, there we
I think,
go.
is the one you're thinking of. Looks like that.
Yep, that would be it. So there's one of those next to the yellow alert symbol, and some of the enlisted, as has been mentioned, are getting nervous. They're crowding around the door, they're testing the force field, they are not happy to be here. But Shran, let's say you step up onto the stage, and what do you say?
Actually, can I change the order of that
Sure.
slightly? I look to my command staff that's here and say, Telek, Saval, Idru, if you don't mind, can you just gather everyone in front of the stage? I'll meet you there in a moment. And then I tap my communicator and try to get conversation with the commander of the station.
Okay. So when you tap your comm badge, the computer reports, "I'm sorry, at the current moment, communication is the communication is blocked across the entire station." Now that you would know is very odd, especially for a medical emergency.
Yeah. And I think with that, I give a curious look at the other two captains present and Lieutenant Commander Vare, and that seems odd to me. What about that's different, right? And then
And
blows his nose again.
Vare sort of grimaces a little bit as you blow your nose, but goes on to say, "It is not logical for them to hamper communications, especially in a medical crisis. Perhaps there is something more at play here."
That would be a logical extrapolation.
And it is at this point that those of you that are gathering up the enlisted and basically everybody in the bar, I need a presence and a command. The difficulty is 3, and one person can assist on this. So decide who among you will be leading and who among you will be assisting.
I am happy to assist.
That would be a 12 total for me.
Yeah, I'll stay back. I'm very bad at this. This is a 10 for me.
This is a 9 for me. I'm not leading it.
Well,
I assume I'm at it. This is them gathering the crowd, right?
Yeah, this is them gathering the crowd.
Okay.
I don't want to give you a threat for something like this, so I'm going to go with 2d20 and hope that we get 3 successes with the assist.
Okay.
No applicable focus.
All right. So I do need to see a crit here, basically, from either Idru or Telek.
Do we want to go with Idru or Telek?
I guess I can go with it with my 50-50 chance here. Command presence.
Yep.
Flip your coin.
Would you say a focus in emergency medicine?
I would have given you psychology, but not emergency medicine, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't have psychology. Research? Anthropology. There.
Nah.
But it's working with people.
Yeah.
People.
Anthropology is about people.
No.
I think if we fail this check, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I think it'll be fine. It'll just be a little bit messy.
Oh, sorry. I failed you.
All right, so what's going to happen is you're going to succeed at cost, which means I get 2 threat. But you are able to sort of guide the enlisted and the lower ranking officers towards the stage, or at least within earshot of someone on the stage. And Shran, you of course see this, and how do you proceed?
I wait for a moment for the crowd to be a little quiet. I assume I have the other two captains on this little stage with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I put my hands behind my back, blow my nose just a little bit, sniffle, and then say, "Well, this is a not an ideal situation that we're in, but this is well within Starfleet norms. You're all Starfleet officers, and I expect you all to continue to serve as you always have. Heck, most of us have been in firefights against the Cardassians and the Jem'Hadar. There's no point in us freaking out over some biological contamination.
And
Come on.
an unknown ensign just sort of shouts, "Captain, do we know what the contaminant is?"
No, I've been trying to get in contact with the station command, but the lines of communication are a bit busy. 1 second, and grabs a tissue and blows his nose again.
And
Sorry.
as you do so, there's sort of a murmur throughout the crowd that
No,
everyone else hears. Like,
it's
is
it's
he?
the flu. It's the flu. I have the flu. That's not it.
The mumbling increases.
That's fine.
Idru will say, "Listen, if you're not Endorian, you have nothing to worry about."
We have we have a doctor. The chief medical officer of the I-13 is right here with us. If there is any sort of danger, we are in good hands. I assure you.
And it is at that point that Idru, somewhere between you and Telek in the crowd, there's a sudden shriek from a woman, and as you look, the crowd sort of parts readily. A individual has fallen to the ground. They are an ensign by the look of them. They are wearing a gold uniform, and they are just unconscious on the floor.
What a choice of token.
We love
And
stock photography here.
Y'all.
I'll rush over to Ensign Thomas.
And
Alright.
I will do the same, pushing people out of the way, just making room for the doctor.
Okay. So as you come closer, the woman who is panicking says, "Doctor, can you do anything for Ensign Thomas? What's wrong with him?"
Yeah, let me take a look. Do you know Ensign Thomas?
He and I were just chatting a few moments ago. We're kind of new to Captain Save's ship, but he was fine a few moments ago.
Okay. Does he have any history of fainting or collapsing in stressful situations?
Not that I know of, sir. Like I said, I only just met him.
Okay. Well, I'll take his vitals. I know I left my tricorder back on the ship.
So you have to do it manually. Do you
Yeah.
have, what is it? Is it field medicine?
I do not have field medicine, unfortunately.
It's
But I do have mental repository if I can take a moment and think
Yeah,
about.
You could take a moment.
what we're
I mean,
dealing
there's
with
going to be
here.
that awkward pause as the woman kind of looks at you like, "What are you doing?"
I think I'll do that. That will lower the difficulty by 1 and give me a free obtain information.
Okay, difficulty on this is a 2 then,
Oh, cool.
and this will be a reason and medicine.
Oh, okay. This is what I'm good at. Would you say a focus in emergency medicine or
yeah.
research?
Oh yeah.
Cool. Difficulty 2, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna give you a threat. I feel pretty good about this. And besides, we just met Ensign Thomas. If he dies, I won't feel too bad.
Idru will feel bad.
Idru will feel terrible, but GM Josh is fine.
3
we go.
successes. You get a momentum. All right. So good news. Oh no. Good news, bad news. Good news is that Thomas is not like in danger of a heart attack or in danger of a concussion from his fall. He is simply unconscious, but with 3 successes, I will give you the insight that he seems to be asleep. And it's very odd. Like, he is deep within REM sleep. And as a reminder, or perhaps as an information for those who aren't familiar with REM sleep, it's supposed to be really easy to wake you up from REM sleep because that is when your brain is the most active during your sleep cycle. But despite you shaking him, despite you maybe tapping the side of his cheek, he is out like a rock.
I think I speak up. Doctor, I think we need to quarantine this man just in case whatever's happened is contagious.
Shran,
So I
I'd
get a
like
freak.
you, real quick though, before we do your question.
Yeah.
Shran, roll me a presence command, difficulty of 2. However, because you use the word quarantine, I need you to increase the complication range to an 18 to 20.
And it's presence command.
Correct.
I will use. Can I use that momentum we just earned, or do you need that?
No, go for it. I get a free
Okay, and
question when we're done with all this anyway. You don't have to spend momentum on it. Go for it.
sorry, I'm just reading up on my talents.
Mm-hmm. If you have diffused the tension, it would apply here.
Well, I do get to. I have cautious command, so I will get to reroll a single d20.
All right.
Because I bought that momentum. I think that's going to be it.
Okay.
I do have. If I'm not persuading anyone to do anything. I don't think. I think you're.
Do you have
I think you're
diplomacy,
more.
maybe?
No, I think you're more like I'm. Am I creating like a panic? Right.
Yeah, you're
I feel
basically
like that's
seeing if your words are causing a panic, basically.
Yeah, I don't think I have a talent that or a discipline, focus, whatever that would that would apply to that. So
Okay.
I don't think I get that.
All right. Well, let's see what you roll.
Ah!
Oh dear.
Well,
Well,
I do get to re-roll one.
I would recommend re-rolling that 19. Unfortunately, we do need to see a crit here, otherwise it will be a failure.
Oh, it's a failure no matter what, right?
Well, it's only difficulty of 2. Or did
Oh,
I
I
say
thought you said
3?
3.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
you
if it's
said 3.
difficulty 3, then yeah, re-roll that 19, otherwise you'll have a complication.
Is there a way for me to re-roll, or do I just click the dice d20?
You just have to manually re-roll it, unfortunately. Alright, so with a
Not a crit.
13...
Not a crit fail.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the good news. So the good news is you did get a success. The bad news is it was a difficulty 3. So what happens is at the word quarantine, some of the enlisted start freaking out. And they start screaming things like, "We're going to die in here, man. We're going to die. I knew coming to this starbase was a curse. Keep it together,
Wow,
man. Keep it together." And they start like trying to restrain the one that's freaking out, and this starts to devolve into a brawl. But before we resolve the brawl, Idru, you did have a question.
I have one prepared unless anyone has one that they would like me to ask that they think might be more relevant since the things have changed. I was going to ask, what race is he? Can he looks human, obviously.
He looks
Could
human.
I verify like he's like 100% human? Could I glean that somehow?
Yeah, I would say that you could do the easy checks, the heart, the pulse, the temperature, all things that would indicate that he is pure human.
Okay,
He
cool.
could be a comaloid appearing as human.
This is true.
Or a changeling, you know? Yeah, there's probably no way to tell that without any kind of instrumentation, but if I could tell that he's 100% human, that might be useful if this is spreading because we're in a confined space.
Mm-hmm. I'll say that doesn't count as your question because I think I should have said that from the beginning. I relied too much on the token. It's something I'm trying to get a little bit better hold of on the GM side. But yeah, let's say you still have your free question.
We might ask if there are any sort of physical symptoms, like a wound, a puncture mark, something that might explain this condition. Has he been injected with something?
Oh, yeah, good call. Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So you give his body a once over looking for any sort of puncture wounds like a needle, a fang, some other delivery method. And what you find is that Thomas has no such wounds or indications on his body. Unless, it's somewhere unpleasant, but you probably don't want to check there.
Well, this is a
Actually, I think
starbase. We
Idru
know
would
what
actually
people get
check
up to.
there.
Okay. Long story short, there, nothing to be found.
We can
And
mark
I
that
would
off the list.
say that some of the people nearby you are like, what the hell are you doing?
Well, Idru's Delton, so I think he probably doesn't care.
Yeah, I'd
He's not
say that
squeamish.
as a Delton, yeah. So some of the people around you start to try and pull you away. Meanwhile, let's say to the left hand side of the bar, a full on bar brawl has broken out.
I immediately get loud
Okay.
and say, "I thought we were all Starfleet officers here. What the heck is going on? Get a hold of yourselves."
Shran, I need you to roll me a daring and a security, please. Difficulty of 1.
I am trying to persuade them to calm down. Does that count?
I would say this is more you're dodging something. Okay. So you do succeed, and what happens, Shran, is a chair is literally thrown in your direction, and you get out of the way. However, the complication is that it hits Captain Jefferson, and Jefferson goes cold onto the ground. He is knocked unconscious, probably with a concussion.
Did I
All
see
right,
who
I'm
threw
gonna.
the chair?
Unfortunately, no. It just sort of came from the mass of sort of moving bodies that are just flailing against one another. And to make matters worse, Shran, as you are looking around, you see that Idru is being pulled away and restrained in some fashion.
I was gonna say I'm gonna make my way to the captain, but apparently not.
I would actually like to turn to Commander Telek, motion to him to assist the doctor, and then I will try to jump into the fray to pull off the ensign or to identify the person who threw that chair and break up the brawl, um, using this intense cold Vulcan detachment, trying to intimidate them.
Okay. So let's handle that in 2 roles. The first is going to be that you are breaking up the fight, and that's going to be a presence security, difficulty of 3.
Don't suppose survival applies here, but all right.
I'll give it to you.
So, presence security, difficulty 3.
Can I assist him with this?
If you tell me how you're assisting.
I'm essentially continuing and getting more angry as I yell at how preposterous it is for Starfleet officers to lose their control this easily.
Okay. I would say you may assist him with a presence command. However, the complication range would go up. It would be an 18 to 20.
I think that's all right.
Do you have advisor, or
I do have advisor.
so that would make allow me to re-roll 1 die, right?
Yep. Well, I think you want to re-roll that complication. Very nice. I believe that is a total
That's
of
much
4
better.
successes, so you get a momentum. So, Saval, you jump into the fray, and with a few carefully timed neck pinches, a few Vulcan strength displays later, you've broken up the main brawl, and the enlisted that were sort of brawling are looking at each other sheepishly. They know they've screwed up, but they are still very, shall we say, unnerved, nervous, anxious, because quarantine. So up next is you discerning who among them was the one to throw the chair. That's going to be an insight security at a difficulty of 2.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So unfortunately, with 0 successes, you missed the original chair. Like you caught the chair when it was already in the air. You didn't see where it came from originally. So maybe even you interrogating on the spot a few of these enlisted individuals, they're not giving anyone up. So good news,
It's
bad news.
okay.
You've
I would
Star
like to.
bases have security cameras, so we'll find that out. You
mhm.
assaulted a captain.
I would like
I think I'm
to.
going to run it. Oh, go ahead, Saval.
Sorry, just for a minute. I'd like to walk back and forth in front of the assembled officers and crewmen who have been lined up against the wall,
Mhm.
not to be executed or anything, but and then I will dress them down. All of you are Starfleet officers. You have disgraced the uniform with this display of rampant emotionalism in a time of crisis. I want each of you to file a report to your commanding officer regarding this incident and your comportment therein. Disciplinary actions will be forthcoming against everyone involved in this incident.
And for the most part, these words sort of what's the word? Mollified? I think it's mollified. Um, Basically, they take it to heart, except for one or two individuals. One in particular, a Bolian senior chief. You don't know his name, but the senior chief says, "Hey, Captain Save, you gonna punish me for something else that somebody did? Doesn't seem fair to me." And
You are addressing me.
Save just sort of shakes her head and says, "Just do what he says for now, senior chief."
Chief, what is your name?
My name?
I am directing this query at you, am I not?
I mean, I don't mind telling you my name, but what does it matter? You're not a member of our vessel. You're
I
just
am a
another Starfleet.
commander, and you are an enlisted officer. I am ordering you to give me your name.
Roll me a presence command or a presence security. Difficulty of 0 here, so free momentum.
I'm not trying to assist, but Shran is kind of standing over Saval's shoulder.
Okay. So, as you two are over here, I'm just moving tokens so that I can keep track of my mind where everyone is. With 1 success, the senior chief does sort of acquiesce and says, "My name's Odar, Senior Chief Odar."
Well, Chief Adar, if you have some kind of complaint regarding my comportment in this situation, I suggest you file a report regarding the matter. As of this moment, however, you have been involved in this fracas, and I will treat you accordingly.
And you think for a moment he almost bursts out laughing at the word fracas, but thinks better of it.
Do you find something amusing, Chief?
A lot of things, but nothing relevant, sir.
I put a hand on Saval's shoulder and kind of motion to him to towards Captain Jefferson,
Mm-hmm.
and then I look at this Bolian and just say, "Do better," and walk away.
All right. So, Idru, at this point, you've been able to free yourself from those who were pulling you back. They have been paying more attention to what Saval and Shran are doing. What would you like to do, if anything? And the same question for Talek.
Yeah, while they were all getting yelled at, I wanted to start looking for some sort of way to create a quarantine. I feel like this is not the best environment in which to create a quarantine, but I will try.
I would
A
say that
fort
your
out
best.
of chairs. Go
Yeah, I'll
for it.
say Ford out of chair. There you go. Why don't you
Just
roll
pile up the
me.
tables on top of each other so they become a wall.
Oh, God. Why don't you roll me a insight and either security or medicine? Difficulty of 1.
We'll see how this goes. And I do have an applicable focus, actually, in improvisation.
That'll work.
Oh
So I'm going to take 2 threat from that.
no!
Uh, Yeah, it's such an open bar and such an open space that there's just no way you could make a true quarantine. Now you can obviously put some people upstairs or against a certain wall or in certain groups, but like
I
a
think what I'm gonna
quarantine
end
that
up doing is like print out a shower curtain from the replicator and like try to put it up under the overhang and be like, here is a quarantine
okay.
with many.
So the
You
good
can't.
news is that it makes you feel better. The bad news
Yeah,
is you are just looked at like you're an idiot, unfortunately.
I technically did what was asked.
This is true. Idra, what are you doing?
I'm laughing. Idris not laughing, but GM Josh is laughing. I would go over to Jeffrey Sion and check on him. And while I'm doing that, I think Idri knows this, GM Josh knows this, that I would yell out, Idri would yell out to everyone, just sit on the floor, sit down now, and just shut the hell up. If you're not helping, you're making the situation worse. The idea being when people are sitting down, they're usually less of a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So like we just had a riot we just overcame. As soon as they're dressed down, I'd like everyone to just sit down and shut up.
Okay.
Apart from our crew, of course. But those idiots, they should all sit down.
No, Captain Strawn hears that, and he doesn't sit completely, but he leans against one of the tables, and while he does that, he stares at that bully and kind of like expecting him to sit.
What?
And also if people are passing out, if they're already sitting down, it's not going to be much of a fall.
This is true. Idru, why don't you give me a presence medicine, please? Difficulty of 0, so free momentum.
Oh, cool. I was worried about that.
And I think we should have
So
2
roll
now.
20.
You are correct.
Okay.
Focus in emergency medicine, maybe?
I would say yes if you had doctor's orders as a talent.
Which I do not. How about a focus in biology?
It'll help you when you take care of Jeffers Scion, but not you yelling to the crowd, unfortunately.
Difficulty 0 though, right?
Yeah, difficulty 0. Okay. I'm going to say there is a complication, but you do get the 2 momentum. So for the most part, everybody takes it to heart, sits down. Even Captain Save sits down. But Shran, you were right on the money. That bully in chief, he doesn't sit down. In fact, he sort of looks at you, Shran, and he goes in for a punch. So Shran, I need you to roll me a daring security difficulty of 1. And this will be opposed. And I'm going to spend some threat so that he rolls 4 dice on this one.
I have a focus in survival. Would that count?
Do you have hand-to-hand combat, maybe?
No.
Yeah, I would say survival would help maybe in a different situation, but because this is just a straight, out of nowhere punch. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there is an argument for it. I'm going to say no, if only because I don't want survival to turn into our power systems.
No, power systems is our power systems.
So it's daring. You said daring security.
Correct.
Listen, in the Hope game, ELH swindles me all the time for focuses, so don't feel bad. Carry on.
Oh no, I don't. I don't feel bad. Well, I do feel bad because I have the flu. But
All right, so that's 2 successes. He has only rolled once. No, that's 2 successes, and as he is the acting individual, he does get a punch on you. So let's roll some challenge die. He doesn't have the greatest of punches. So yeah, he almost just love taps you. He just goes and it punches you in the face. You barely feel it.
I would immediately react to that by trying to. I'd like to flavor it as a Vulcan nerve pinch, grabbing him by the arm, twisting it around his back, and nerve pinching him, even though I don't have the talent. So would that be possible?
Yeah, I would say you would just because really the benefit of the nerve pinch is you use your science or your medicine in terms of your security, but because your security, you can just treat it like a normal unarmed attack.
Okay.
So why don't you roll me a daring security difficulty 1 of yourself?
No applicable focus.
2 successes, so you get 1 momentum. And what that means is, yes, your nerve pinch is successful. You pinch him, and he goes limp in your grasp.
I will try to catch his head and lead him down as he falls so that he doesn't injure himself.
I approvingly look at Saval first, and then I look towards Captain Sylvain and say, Captain, what the hell?
And Save walks over and starts to inspect the senior chief and says, I was going to say that his time in Starfleet was over once I was done with him, but Commander, do you see that?" And she points at the senior chief's mouth, and there is a bit of blue foam coming out of it.
Fascinating.
And I will say,
I'd
okay,
like to prepare another quarantine.
I think it's in order.
Yeah, I think we all probably all motion towards the doctor at this point.
Everybody who touched him, okay, get him at a space in the corner, and all of you stay over there.
Okay. So we'll put Saval, the captain, and Save, you're in a corner. Thomas is where we left him in the middle of the floor. Talek, you're over here putting up curtains. Lieutenant Commander Vare is probably sticking with Thomas for the time being. So Idri, you're still on stage with Captain Jefferson.
Yeah, at this point, I want to see if I can take the chair out of his head.
Okay. Pretty easy. Just need to roll me a control and a medicine here. Difficulty of 1.
How about surgery as a focus?
Sure.
Can I assist by yelling, "I believe in you, doctor"?
You can help him in your heart.
Great.
I think that was a yes.
Hey, 3 successes, which means you are capped on momentum, I believe.
That's another one.
It's pretty cool. So, the good news is that after you, because I forget the actual treatment for a concussion, but you do what is appropriate, and eventually he comes back around and he looks up at you and says, "I feel like I got hit by a chair. What the hell happened?"
Well, Captain, I don't think we've seen the officers in this room at their finest. We might have a situation here.
And it is at
But
this
I've asked
point,
everyone to take a seat, and that way we can identify the more apprehensive people from the others.
Okay. It is at this point that I need everyone present, meaning pretty much all of you. I need you all to roll me a fitness medicine, difficulty of 1.
That's incredibly cruel. Why would you do that to us? Medicine. Who studies that?
Would a focus
I
in
miss
helm
my
operations
medicine
help?
score.
Helm operations will not help you here.
How about sensor operations?
No.
Dilithium-based technologies?
No.
Restricted illegal
Good call.
weapons?
Well,
We
we
have
do
to
have
check.
momentum, guys. Does anybody want
We have
any?
to check.
Yes. I'm rolling
I might need a
3d20.
momentum. My fitness is real sad.
You know what? I'd also like to take one.
You get a momentum.
Everybody!
You get a momentum.
Everybody! Everybody gets momentum.
ELH, is there a focus that would apply here? Maybe that's the easier way to go.
For you, no, I'm not seeing focuses on anyone's sheet that would apply here.
I think we're getting the momentum back.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you get it right back. So that's 3 successes. Yeah, so you're right back at cap. Yeah, you feel fine. However, Captain Save, she collapses on the spot. And Saval and Shran, you see that when she hits the floor, she has rapid eye movement of her own going on.
Captain, if I may.
I don't think this is the time to stand on ceremony here. Just say it. Just speak.
Very good, Captain. It is entirely possible that the whole station has been afflicted by this ailment, whatever it is. It is perhaps for that reason we were unable to contact anyone on the bridge. I would recommend that, in contravention of standard Starfleet protocol, we attempt to gain access to the rest of the station and leave this section. If we can bypass the force field or reestablish communications with the I-13, we might be able to use their sensor systems, the advanced sensor systems, or the biofilters on board the transporters to identify the cause of this ailment, or at least gain more information about the status of the rest of the station.
I think that's a terrific idea, Commander, and I think Commander Telek would be the one to assist you with this, based upon her excellent job with the quarantine in the corner there.
With respect, Captain, I believe that Commander Tolek will have to handle that on his own, given that I have no experience in such matters.
No. I'm ordering you to work with Commander Telek to gain access to the bridge and communicate with our ship.
Yes, sir.
I was just asking you to appreciate the excellence of those shower curtains. It's a great job. And then I blow my
Alex,
nose.
give a thumbs up from the corner.
See? He's doing a great job.
Well, Captain, I don't necessarily share your sense of aesthetics, but if you say so.
I walk over to you guys in the corner and I say, Captain, I'm going to be honest with you, and I say this kind of low. There's nothing I can do for these people until I get some kind of medical equipment to start diagnosing the problem. I have nothing here but my hands. There's only so much I can do.
I will, just because I haven't done it yet, I will attempt to communicate with the ship. I don't think it's going to work.
Okay. I will say if you give me a momentum, I will throw you a bone, but it might not be what you're expecting.
Just a random bone.
I like surprises. Let's do it.
Okay. So, Shran, you tap your comm badge. Again, you are blocked from any communication outside this room. However, as you do so, something Idru said about proper medical tools reminds you that all bars, clubs, etc. on a Starfleet vessel or star base tend to have one or two medical kits somewhere behind the counter. Just,
yeah,
you know,
like
for
a cardiac
emergencies.
arrest unit. Yeah. All right, I meander over there and I look behind the bar, and if there's a medical kit there, I pass it over to the doctor.
Yep, there is actually two back there.
Excellent. Is there? I speak up loud enough for everyone in the room to hear me, and is there anyone else trained in emergency medicine here?
And Lieutenant Commander Vare steps up and says, I am, sir.
Lieutenant, here's some tools to help out. I think I believe you're going to be assisting our doctor here and at least keeping everyone here alive. I don't think, actually, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know what's going on. I'm delirious from the flu. And I blow my nose again.
All right, so Idru, where would you like Vera to begin? Would you like them to help you directly, or would you like them to focus on the quote-unquote quarantines?
I think what I'll have Vera do is start checking everyone else for symptoms.
Okay.
While I'm going to start with Thomas and check his condition first. What I want to determine is if we can get any symptoms of someone before they collapse, that would be helpful because then we can track when people are starting to go south.
Okay.
And I will, before I do that, I'll lean into the captain and Sobal too, so that you two can hear this and no one else. I'll say this very low. If this is airborne, there is nothing that we can do here at this point. It's likely that we will all have been contaminated. The best we can hope for is we can figure out what is causing this and we can make a vaccine quickly.
Good to know, Doc.
we're in such a confined area and being sealed off. With the number of people in this room, there's no effective way to quarantine everyone at this point.
It's a collective quarantine, if you will.
No, I think we just have to figure out if people's lives are in danger, because if this is just knocking people out for a amount of time, it's not great, but that's something we can get over. I would also like to know if the rest of the station's affected just as much as we are. And as Commander Small said...
As much information we can get from the rest of the station would be good. Knowing where this came from, when it started, any sort of symptoms or history that have been observed will go a long way for us to figure out how to cure it.
Never been in a situation where all communications were cut off like this. I think Commander Saval might be right. The command crew of this station might all be incapacitated in some way. And I really want to find out if that's true.
The senior chief, before he collapsed, did experience heightened levels of aggression. I don't know if that's characteristic to his behavior because I don't know him. However, we could potentially expect something like that to happen again with other people that are infected. I haven't seen... The only other person we have who's collapsed is the captain. I point over to Seve. So I can't say that for certain, but heightened aggression could be a part of this.
Given her comments on the comportment of Chief Oder, it seems as if that was normal for him.
I just expected a room of Starfleet officers to behave a little better in a crisis, but it's possible this is just not everyone's best moment.
Well, as she said, he was not going to be a Starfleet officer very much longer.
To be fair, Doctor, not everyone here is at their best. And you can see Captain Strawn has like red marks around his nose from blowing his nose so much. Dark bags on his eyes.
It is at this point that I need everyone to roll me a fitness medicine difficulty of 2.
I will burn another momentum.
Okay.
I think we all will.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so Shran has failed. Saval has failed with a complication. Talek is fine. I think we're just missing... Alright, so everybody but Talek fails. And that's important because I get to show you all a handout. So everybody but Nick gets to see this handout.
I'm all left out.
All right,
you did such a good job quarantining yourself over there.
Yeah,
yes.
Those curtains. You all should now see...
Probably just because I was further away from everybody, honestly.
Maybe. You all should now see a fresh handout that says, so you failed your fitness plus medicine. And you can take it from there.
Can you just name all handouts like that from now on?
I mean, I'm going to have to make more Captain America memes, but sure.
Okay. Well, that's different. Doctor, I'm not... That nebula didn't look so appealing before, but... That's nice. That's beautiful.
You know, Captain, I've never really told you this before, and forgive me. Well, no, I just need to say it. I think you look very toned, very fit for someone your age.
I appreciate that, Doctor. I really do. And I put my hand on his shoulders, and then I sneeze.
No.
And at this point, Saval goes over to a nearby table, picks up nothing, raises his hand to his mouth as if he's taking a drink, puts nothing back on the table, walks back to the rest of the command crew and says, I must say, the environment here is quite pleasant, quite stimulating indeed. It's very much reminiscent of the conditions on my own homeworld, the balmy heat. It's. If I could feel an emotion, I might suggest that it's somewhat nostalgic.
And Captain, have you ever been to Earth?
I've never. No, I've been to Earth.
Oh, okay. Well, what you're wearing now, it's quite attractive. However, there is one particular garment that I've seen worn certain parts of Earth that are warmer. It's called I believe it's called a Speedo. I think that would be a very becoming outfit for you. Just to offer, an upgrade in your attire.
Well, thank you. But I do believe we have a we have a crisis situation to attend to, despite how nice it is right now. I don't think everyone is feeling the same way as us. So let's continue with our mission.
Oh yes, I think I'm going to check on Ensign Thomas.
Okay.
I needed a moment.
It's okay, I needed one too. Alright, so Idru, this is going to be an insight medicine, difficulty of 2.
Okay, can I use my mental repository in my current state to
I
take a
would
moment
say
and think about what I'm doing?
yes, but the complication range will increase to 18 to 20. But the good news is that Vare will assist you.
I'm gonna go big here. I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. So I'll lower the difficulty to a 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, medicine
Insight.
insight. Focus in surgery, biology, emergency medicine.
I'll
or
give you
research.
biology on this one.
So we only have 1 momentum. What do you guys think?
I
guess
say
with
just
just
go for
one.
it.
Yeah, just the difficulty of 1. I've got a good chance, especially with an assist. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
No, I mean go for it with the momentum.
Oh,
Swing away. Why not?
I think we're okay with a difficulty of 1. We'll see. Now I'm gonna fail miserably. Hey, no, look at that.
The opposite.
And she gets a crit too, so that's 6 successes, which means you're capped on momentum again. Wow. So Idru,
It's
you and Vare
delicious.
working together. What you realize is that not only is Thomas he's in REM sleep, but the temperature of his skin is elevated, meaning that he's running a bit of a fever. Nothing like life-threatening, but it's enough that maybe you're starting to get some hints. The other thing that you notice about Thomas is that he has a smile on his face, and he's mumbling in his sleep. He's talking about a Horgon for some reason.
So the 6 successes that we got, and then the 1 momentum that we already had. Does that mean we have a floating momentum?
No, you would have gotten 5 momentum, so you are at 6.
Oh, that's right. Difficulty 1. Oops.
But I think you said you used your mental repository, right? So you get a free question for that.
Oh, yes, I do get a free question for that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Looking around, do I see anyone else seated in the area that is beginning to show some sign of these symptoms, like the flush skin? Anyone that might be going down the path that Thomas and the chief went down?
So you are seeing some individuals with flushed skin. Maybe some are actually sweating. Maybe even run a scan on yourself and you see that, yeah, your temperature is maybe about a degree higher than it should be. But what really catches your attention is not so much the temperature as those that have a elevated temperature. Everyone who has the fever, they seem to be smiling, having a good time. They're making jokes. A pair of crewmen in the corner are like playing invisible volleyball.
I'd like to. I think I stand up and I say, Commander Saval, Commander Telek, I'd like you to do your best to get in communication with the bridge. Everyone else, margaritas at the bar.
And there's a cry out of joy as some of the people get up and joins Shran at the bar, where the bartender, who has been very calm throughout this, finally sets down his glass and says, "Really? Margaritas? Now?"
Hey, why not? We're in quarantine. Might as well do something.
Okay,
Bartender.
what I originally had planned before I started laughing,
Mhm.
and then all this happened, I wanted to examine the doors and see if maybe I could open them.
Sure, why don't you roll me a reason engineering difficulty of 2?
I would definitely buy an extra die. Oh.
No, it doesn't need it. So, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is that you could disable the force fields. The bad news is to do so, you would have to cut all power to this section of the starbase. It's doable, but when I say all power, I mean all power, which includes life
Yeah,
support.
not ideal
And the replicators, which we need
for the
for our
margaritas.
margaritas. That's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
Well, we're
that
obviously not
is
doing that.
very important.
Commander Telek, might I suggest that instead of disabling the force field around the door, we try to gain access to some of the reserve power systems in order to tap into the station's comm array? We might be able to use it, if we can bypass the lockout, to contact the I-13.
I was thinking maybe the same security system that was controlling the force fields was what was causing the interference with our communications. I mean, we can try knocking or tapping into the power and maybe powering up our communications in order to get through it.
As a
But,
reminder, you can spend 2 momentum at any point to create such an advantage. So if you want to spend 2
ooh,
momentum here, I will allow that to happen.
I'm
Oh,
in
I'm
charge of the
so
momentum.
I'm so tempted to burn 2 to create a margarita mixer.
No, no margarita mixer, but yes, we will be able to tap into the power to increase our communication ability.
Sure, and Telek, after you do a little bit of technobabble, a little bit of space magic as it is, you actually are able to get a line to the I-13. And responding is your first officer, Commander Holton. And Commander Holton says, Commander Telek, what's the situation over there? Everything on the station has pretty much gone into lockdown. We're stuck on the ship at the moment.
Yeah, we are stuck inside the bar as it is. And it looks like people are getting sick here. So we
We
were hoping that maybe we could use some of your resources in order to figure out what's going on over here.
we did get notification of a medical quarantine. One moment, I'll have one of the doctors run an intensive scan of the station. And there's a pause, and then she comes back over the comms and says, "Okay, so good news, bad news. Which would you like first?"
I think I'll go with the good news.
Well, the good news is that it doesn't appear that there's too many people on the station that are trapped at the moment. Like, there's not people trapped in broom closets or anything. The bad news is that we can't get a signal to the CIC, nor can we get one to any of the command staff on the starbase. However, I do have a bit of good news. Ensign Mayweather has just told me that apparently they noticed something in a bioscan. They don't know what it means, but they're going to look into it. If you could pass that along, I don't know if that's helpful at all.
It's not helpful. So, um just keep an eye on everything that's going in here. It seems to be getting worse here. I'm not sure that the rest of the commanding staff that is here are in the best condition. So, as
Are,
soon as you can get us any more information, that would be great.
just a quick question. Are we overhearing this conversation, or?
I would
I am
say you're
also
getting
on
some
the
of
other
it,
side of the
yes.
room.
I would say you're getting bits and pieces of it. You know that she's talking to someone.
I'm assuming that I'm on the other side of the room. I'm near the bar.
Yeah, you're near the bar for sure. And Jefferson has joined you. Someone has weekend at Bernie's Ensign Thomas, and they're like got him in a chair, just
Oh
propped
yeah,
up.
we replicate a pair of sunglasses for him.
Here,
Nice.
I'll move the oh no for you. It now belongs to Captain Tron.
You know, the best thing about being a captain is delegating. And I cheers Captain Jefferson.
Mhm. So, Saval, for sake of argument, because you're Vulcan, you probably heard the Telek conversation.
Commander Telek and Commander Holton, um, I would suggest that you transport a number of the crew to this location.
Beaming into
Do we really
quarantine.
want to expose more people to this pathogen?
Why would you not want to participate in the festivities?
You are very correct. Why don't you prepare a margarita for me, please?
I was unaware that you drank, Commander.
It's a special occasion.
Well, I would also like to recommend that the rest of the crew bring along their medical data to share it with Dr. Idru. I'm sure that he would find it quite fascinating.
I
And I
will
will
pass
walk
on
over
the
the bar.
message.
Telek, I now need
I
you.
thought I was going to be for bad mouthing them. Okay.
So, Telek, I need you to roll me a fitness medicine difficulty of 3. You do have 4 momentum. You may wish to use it.
I am going to use it. I'm going to roll in and then get rid of my momentum, though.
Okay. Hey, 3 successes. You're fine. Nothing wrong here.
But that means I don't get to see the handout. So, there's a win and a lose.
True.
I want to see if I can utilize that connection that I now have into the computer system, not to deactivate all life support, but to see if I can get in communication with any other parts of the ship.
Yeah, I would say by piggybacking off of your modification and through the I-13, you're getting in contact with the rest of the fleet, and there is about 15 to 20 vessels out there, and they're all wondering what the hell's going on with the starbase. So, to put it plainly, you have the resources of a fleet at your disposal.
That's great. I don't have any medicine knowledge, though.
Well, that's why you delegate.
I think I finger gun over to Commander Telek. Commander Telek, status report.
2 thumbs up.
That's good. Remember, we're under a quarantine,
We are under a quarantine. You are correct.
and we are definitely going to continue being Starfleet officers. But I think all Starfleet officers need to have a Cardassian sunrise right now. Shots, shots, shots.
The
I'm going
bartender
to try to
just
get
face
Commander
palms.
Idru and see if maybe the magic of the quarantine area will assist him in feeling better so he can assist me.
At this point, though, I think Idru has both his jacket and his blue shirt removed, and he looks like he's trying to apply something to his skin. And look up and I say,
Doctor?
the lighting here isn't perfect, but I think it will help my tan.
I think the lighting might be better over in this area. Motion, come with me.
I could try it.
Yeah?
I guess I could do a few minutes
Yeah?
on my back and see.
Definitely. So I was just asked for you on this phone call. Will you speak to some of the other doctors and see if maybe there's any insight that you might be able to give them about the quarantine that we've enacted here?
Sure, I could do that. I mean, the light in here is just beautiful, though. It's kind of a waste to talk business.
Well, you don't have to do anything to tan, so it's just a passive activity that will happen whether or not you're speaking.
You know, to like, I'm just looking outside. Do you see the waves coming in? It's a really great day. I wish I'd brought a board. We could try it.
Maybe once we are out of here. And I'm gonna once again try to give him the communicator. Please talk to this other doctor.
Yeah, so I guess I'm taking your communicator because my
Yes.
communicator is on my jacket, which is thrown over a chair.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because mine
I'm
is the
holding
one that is actually functioning correctly.
So I've got a communicator in one hand, the other hand I'm applying some invisible something. Yes, this is Idru. What's going on?
This is Commander Zadud of the U.S.S. Galaxy. We're standing by with our medical technicians. Can you tell us what the hell's going on over there?
Well, the conditions are it's a bright, beautiful day. Over in the corner, Mr. Saval is looking very handsome and some nice, I'd say board shorts, perhaps.
There's a noticeable pause, and then the voice says, is Telek still there?
Yep.
This is your
And
doctor?
this is our doctor. He seems to be a little bit ill right now, perhaps. Is there anything you can get from this conversation that might help?
I mean, he's obviously delusional.
Yes. Some people seem to be sleeping. Some people seem to be very unfocused.
Do you have a med kit handy?
It's basically a glorified first aid kit, but if there's anything that I can do with it, sure.
There should be a neurosuppressant in there. You're going to want to take the blue tube, mix it with the yellow, shake it for a few minutes, add about a third of the red, and then put all that into a hypo spray.
Okay.
Can I say I've danced over to that area like with a conga line?
I'm gonna sit down with the med kit, crisscross applesauce, and try to put this hypo spray together.
Okay. It takes a few minutes, but you do as asked. So you have a dose of something.
I'm surprised that you didn't make me see if I would do that successfully or not. But
Nah, I'm more or less
look the
giving it
gift
to
horse in
you
the mouth.
because they would have walked you literally step by step if you got lost somewhere.
Okay. Who would be the most useful? The doctor would be the most
useful. Introduce a little bit of chaos to this situation.
No.
Go for it.
I think Idru would he'd sort of dart forward and try to grab this hypo spray from Tolek and like try to take it and throw it like over where like outside the windows where saying there's water.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say, no more work today, Tolek. No more work today. And like he's thinking he's gonna throw it out into the ocean, but he's actually just gonna be throwing it into a wall.
All right, so this is going to.
It's my new hobby.
Yeah, I think I would interject and be like, hey, some of us are here on vacation. Commander Tulek is still on duty.
So I'm going to say that this is going to be a daring security from Idru and Telek. The difficulty is 1, and just keep in mind that if Idru succeeds, they will throw the hypo spray.
Oh no. Well, we have 2 med kits, so
You also have 1 momentum.
Idru is a weakling. You can do this.
I don't believe that I can do this. What are you going to do?
1 more dice there, Telek.
Oh, I can
Yeah, all you gotta
definitely not be
fine.
nervous and actually do the things that I mean to do. I got distracted.
All right, so that's actually it's 1 success because it's a difficulty of 1. So you get 1 momentum. And Telek, you're not only able to prevent your hypospray from being ripped from you, But if you want to inject the doctor, you have an opportune moment to do so.
I'm going to inject the doctor.
All right, so doctor, everything that's going on in that handout begins to fade away. You start to feel normal again.
And put my hand to my head. Oh, this is not going to feel good tomorrow.
Are you okay?
Yeah, some extreme hallucinations. I'll never see the captain the same way again. So, Commander, what have I missed?
You almost tried to throw this hypo spray out the window, which wouldn't have worked because it's a window and it's closed out to keep the space out. But you would have done really well at smashing it. We have the materials for one more of these.
Oh, good.
So
Very
we should
good.
prepare it. I have communication with the outside, but it
And
seems to be getting worse in here.
I'll look and see what Tulake gave me. Is that something that replicators can reproduce?
It is. It is. I can't remember the name because I've been looking on the side here, looking for the specific drug. But it is essentially a neurosuppressant that deactivates the portion of the brain that normally lights up during REM sleep. It basically cuts that off.
Well, Commander, I'm not going to say this is necessarily a vaccine yet, but this will at least get us over the worst part of the symptoms. I'm going to replicate some more of this and we can start distributing it to everyone in St. Thomas first, because they are the furthest along as far as we know. So yeah, then I'd go over to a replicator and start reproducing the stuff to make this.
Okay. So, what I would say, we'll do a little bit of a time skip here. We'll do a montage. You go through and you inoculate everyone in the bar. And by the time you're done, Thomas has woken back up. He's very confused about what's happening, but he seems fine. Everybody is conscious again. Everybody is cognizant and aware. Even the senior chief looks a little bit sheepish. The one that did throw a punch at the captain. But all of you are no longer experiencing the fever dream.
I think the first thing I do when I'm free from that is I want to get Commander Telek to give detailed information to all the ships so that they can start boarding the station and applying that to everyone on board.
I probably
Captain.
would have already been relaying that at least what we had done is successful, whether or not they decide to enter into the ship, because I think it's probably locked down from the outside too, right?
Mm-hmm.
May I ask Dr. Idru, have we merely treated the symptom or have we actually cured the disease?
I believe this is just treating the symptom. We don't know what the cause is, and I'd hesitate to call this a long-term solution in any case.
Then I would recommend against exposing anyone else to a potential contamination.
Saval, I'd like you to roll me a insight and a security, please. Difficulty of 2.
Would restricted and illegal weapons or infiltration apply here?
Most definitely.
And I will buy an extra die for 1 momentum.
All right, 2 successes. Lieutenant Commander Vare is missing.
Doctor, or I should say Commander Telek, did you happen to see what happened to the Lieutenant Commander?
I did not. There was quite a bit of chaos while everybody was heading over to the bar, however, so that would have been the perfect time to find yourself hidden, I suppose.
Is there a tricorder available here?
Yeah, there are two, each one in each med kit.
A regular tricorder rather than a medical tricorder, though.
I would say that a medical tricorder functions the same as a regular tricorder. It just has medical databases stored on it.
I would like to immediately scan the room to see if there's been any breach or if I can ascertain if there is a breach to the containment.
There is zero breach to containment.
I would like to see if there might happen to be any sort of kitchen or side room in this area, and if so, if it's blocked off. Or restroom. You know, restrooms exist.
There are restrooms. There is not a kitchen per se, because Star Trek, you just have replicators.
Yeah.
But even after checking the bathrooms, Lieutenant Commander Vare is nowhere to be found.
I will immediately go to the captain. Sorry, go ahead.
I go to a computer console on the wall and ask it, computer, locate Lieutenant Commander Vare.
Lieutenant Commander Vare is not on the station.
Interesting. Computer, can you give me all information regarding Lieutenant Commander Vare? Commander Tola, can you pass out? Can you communicate to the other ships to help us find this Lieutenant Commander?
I was about to say, I hope I don't pass out. But I will get right on that.
I assume you've probably gotten the treatment as well.
Yeah, I think I would have given it to like also even if they didn't start having symptoms.
I would like to contact the I-13 if possible, very
Yeah.
briefly.
Get a direct line to Commander Holton.
And I'm sure
Commander-
while all this is going on, I'll upgrade everybody's communicators so we don't have to just pass around the one.
Okay.
Commander Holton, status.
Well, the quarantine is holding, supposedly. I have managed to get in contact with the bridge on Starbase 375. They are very confused.
And I would like to move to an area of the room where I can't easily be overheard and just observe my surroundings to see if there's anything out of place before I continue speaking.
Roll me another Insight Security. For reasons, this will be a difficulty of 5.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Can I assist, because I think Idri would be keeping an eye on everyone, just making sure like symptoms don't reemerge.
You may roll an Insight in Medicine, Idru.
Cool.
And I suppose infiltration would apply here?
Yeah, it would apply.
Security.
Focus in
I'll
emergency
buy an
medicine,
extra
maybe.
die.
I'll give it to you, Idru, because you're looking at it from a medical perspective.
Yeah.
That is very impressive. That's already 5 successes. All right, 6 successes, which means you get the momentum right back. So, Saval, you would have missed this if you hadn't experienced such things in the past, but there is one chair at one of the tables that is just slightly off cue. It's maybe a little bit more blue than it should be.
I see. I will not intentionally ignore it, but I'll just cast my eyes around and then go over to the other area to pretend as if I'm speaking to Captain Shran for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Then just meander around towards the bar, and I will say to Commander Holton over the communicators, Commander, we have identified a changeling infiltrator on board the station. I need you to contact the bridge of this station, have them drop the force field, and bring in a security team along with weapons for us. I will continue to observe the changeling infiltrator for as long as possible, but alacrity would be very much appreciated.
Give me a moment. Right, I think what we like your plan, of course, and I'm speaking we as in the rest of the fleet, myself, and the officers on the 375. If we were to beam you a phaser rifle, do you think you could handle it?
I would suggest that you beam it into an adjoining room in order to avoid alerting the changeling.
Then we will momentarily lower the force fields around the bathroom, and we will beam the rifle into one of the stalls.
Very good. Thank you, Commander.
And they give you a signal or some sort of countdown that, sure enough, Saval, you walk into the bathroom, open up the stall, and right as you do, there is a phaser rifle that is materialized.
Okay. Then I am going to emerge from the door, aim, and fire at the off-color chair if it's still there.
It is. So this is going to be a control security. The difficulty is going to be a 2. However, I am going to spend all of my threat to make the complication range a 16 to 20.
Okay. Could I do two things? One is, could I take the aim minor action?
You can.
And with my, what is it? Deadeye Marksman, difficulty is -1 to an attack with an aim minor action.
Okay, so it's now a difficulty of 1.
And I'll use augmented ability control for an automatic success
Okay.
with +2 to the complication range.
Okay, so I think technically it can't go beyond 16 to 20. So yeah, we're gonna keep the 16 to 20.
Okay. So control, security, and 2d20, and one of which I can reroll.
Mm-hmm.
Applicable focus, hand phasers.
Yep. 2 successes, which means you get 2 momentum. Yeah, you hit that chair. Go ahead and roll me some challenge die. Should be 8 challenge dice.
Yes.
And with that, everybody sees Saval emerge from the bathroom. He aims his phaser rifle at a chair, fires. The beam hits the chair. The chair immediately spasms out like a changeling being hit by a rifle. And after a moment, the spasming stops. They materialize from a chair back into Lieutenant Commander Vare and remain motionless on the floor.
Well, that's interesting.
I will approach the changeling, covering it with the phaser rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Idru, might you examine the changeling? I would like to ascertain its condition.
Indeed. I'll approach the changeling and start scanning it.
All right, reason medicine, difficulty of 2.
Focus in biology.
Oh yeah.
Does it make it easier that he has a medical tricorder?
It does.
I would like to buy a third dice, I think, with 1 momentum.
Okay.
Do I have time to mentally prepare for this task to lower the difficulty by 1?
I would say no, if only because, sudden changeling out of nowhere, you're not really prepared for that.
Cool.
4 successes, which I believe gets you 2 momentum. So, what you learn is this, Idru. The changeling was emitting some sort of pheromone, not unlike a Deltan and not unlike an Orion, that had hallucinogenic effects. That production has stopped because they are unconscious. But as you now scan the room, you confirm that the pheromones, spores, whatever you want to think of them as, they are lowering. The life support system is slowly filtering them out just on its own. So you're not in danger of relapsing or in danger of this getting worse, but you do have an unconscious changeling to deal with now.
Captain, I'd recommend we keep this person under containment.
Oh,
They have
absolutely.
a pheromone that is... The pheromones that they've released are what I believe has caused this entire situation.
Do we have contact with the command crew of the station?
You do.
Captain Tron to the station command. We need an immediate containment field on my communicator, and I put my communicator next to the changeling. We have a changeling.
This is I gotta remember his name. This is Admiral Bin. We are ready to execute your plan. Please tell us your command code.
Command code Alpha 1, Beta 1, Charlie 1.
And maybe someone makes a comment. Did he really just do A1B1? And as you do, the Admiral says, very well, we have confirmed your identity. Force fields lowering and force fields raising. And there's a voom sound as the force fields around the door and around the room vanish. And instead, around the changeling, a sort of cylinder of force fields covers them completely.
Good work, Commander Saval.
Thank you, Captain. My apologies for failing to inform you. However, I believed that alacrity was important in this situation. And as he says that, you see him lower the phaser rifle slightly, and the hand that was holding the rifle barrel starts trembling ever so slightly. It's almost imperceptible.
Would I, as a Vulcan, notice that?
I think you would, yeah.
Mental note.
But yeah, long story short, the station returns to normal after a few days. It turns out that the changeling, quote unquote, Vare, had more or less hidden away the real Vare somewhere on the station. They were found, they were fine, nothing to worry about there. But the changeling themselves is only given the value, or has only said during interrogation that this plan may not have succeeded, but the next one will. And our final scene is everybody back in the bar, looking out of the windows, not at the nebula, but at a beach on Ryza. And the bartender sort of walks up behind you all and says, I got a little inspiration from the incident. I think people will like this view better than the one we had before.
I kind of could go for the real thing right about now, but I guess this will have to do.
Commander, for a minute, it seemed like it was the real thing.
I mean, maybe to you, it was very stressful for me.
Well, you definitely did your duty as a Starfleet officer, and we all have to thank you for that.
Indeed, your cool thinking under pressure is commendable, Commander.
And Idru says to Saval, Commander, I may have over-vaccinated you. I'm sorry if I may have mixed your concoction a little more powerful than I intended. This is me trying to cover up Saval's moment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Doctor. I imagine that might be the case. Given the situation, I appreciate your efforts nonetheless.
I'll admit I wasn't at my best. Let's say I have just a new mental image of the captain now that will be forever emblazoned in my mind.
If you all don't mind, I think I might finally have my own margarita.
I think you've earned it.
And yeah, we slowly pull away out of the window as you get your margarita, and we see the exterior of Starbase 375 as it resumes normal operations. But yeah, that is where we will end today's session of I-13.
I still want to go to the real Ryza.
It'll happen eventually.
All right, so this is where I'm going to cut the stream. So Twitch, YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see these guys in 2 weeks. Bye, stream.